Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we are looking at another deck, which has only gone and won a League Cup over in Japan, and I am absolutely delightedly in love with this deck, ladies and gentlemen. It is a deck that I have wanted to be good ever since I very first saw the card. It's Alolan Dugtrio. Ladies and gentlemen, I adore Alolan Dugtrio. Alolan Dugtrio is awesome. And evidently, you can make it work. One of the things I really like about this particular list is, with a couple of little exceptions, and maybe these are going to be big enough, I don't know, the main cards for this deck are in the format at the moment. Now, there's a couple things coming in Lost Thunder that will help this deck. It's up to you to decide whether you think the deck is playable without them. But oh my goodness, it's actually good. So rather than just sitting here and going Alolan Dugtrio, Alolan Dugtrio, Alolan Dugtrio, I should probably tell you what Alolan Dugtrio actually does. Now, it is not the Alolan Dugtrio that makes it harder for your opponent to retreat. As fun as that one is, it's not that viable. What is viable is the Alolan Dugtrio that came around in Ultra Prism. For 0 energy, you do 30 damage for each metal energy you discard from your hand, and you're allowed to discard as many as you like. So what you do here is you just bin cards out of your hand as fast as you can, you discard all of your metal energy, and you do a whole bunch of damage. Now, if you happen to be against something like a Zorua with their pitiful 60 HP, yeah, just get 2 energy. If you're against something like a Diancie Prism Star with 90 HP, then you need to get rid of 3. But if you're against something like a Zoroark GX with 210, you need to try and discard 7 energy. Now, you don't have to one-hit KO everything here, because of course you're using single prize attackers. The problem is the recovery and all of that can be a bit of a pain. You don't want to just be easily KO'd every turn. You want to be trying to get one-hit KOs, though that's not always the easiest. But here's the thing. You got 60 HP. Now, on the one hand, that means you can use Professor Elm's lecture, more on that in a moment. On the other hand, it means you are going to be KO'd incredibly easily. You should expect to be KO'd every single turn here. That's a little bit of an issue. Now, there are cool little things like the non-GX Buzzwole with a Diancie Prism Star will only actually do 50 damage, as will the Big Daddy Buzzwole. So that's kind of cool, but generally speaking, you'll be one-hit KO'd by most things. So recovery is going to be important, and if you're not getting one-hit KOs, you really are going to have to struggle to just continually recover these Dugtrio. That's one of the ways in which this deck falls down. But what we do have here is a couple of other Pokemon. The main one here is Ribombee. Ribombee we've had for a little while now. And this Ribombee's got a lovely little ability. And what it allows you to do is once during your turn, you may search your deck for 2 basic energy and put them into your hand. That sounds pretty good to me. So this is going to kind of guarantee that you've got 2 energy in hand. And I'm going to spoil the trainers a little bit here. You're playing Mount Coronet. So in theory here, you use Mount Coronet to get 2 energy out of your discard pile and put them into your hand. You use Ribombee to get 2 energy from your deck and put them into your hand. And you are hitting a minimum of 120 damage here, and that's if you don't draw into an energy. That's if you've got no energy in hand or any of that. That is a minimum 120 damage guaranteed. And I made this point in the video I did yesterday about the current state of the format. We've got no ability lock at the moment. Garboda's gone away. And Alolan Muck will only block basic Pokemon, which you're not relying on here. And Glaceon will only block GXs, which you're not relying on here. So essentially, you've got Ribombee every turn. and you've got those 4 energy every single turn. Although, of course, using Mount Coronet means you're not using Shrine of Punishment to do extra damage. This is one of the few completely non-GX decks, and you will notice it is a completely non-GX deck, other than your single copy of Tapu Lele, of course. You need that turn 1 sometimes. So, usually a candidate for Shrine, not this time. We then have a few other little Pokemon. We've got Ditto Prism Star. Ditto Prism Star can evolve into any stage 1. It's an extra Alolan Diglett here. It means that you don't need to worry so much. You can essentially get 6 Alolan Dugtrio, and all you've got to do is recover 1 Alolan Diglett during the game. That really helps. And there's a 1/1 line of Zebstrika. Now, this is one of the things from Lost Thunder that really helped this deck. The ability for Zebstrika says that once during your turn, you may discard your hand and draw 4 cards. Now, you don't need this to discard the energy like you do in some decks, because you discard the energy while attacking. But what you do need here is just some kind of draw engine. You need to be searching your deck for energy. You need to be recovering energy. You need to be recovering Alolan Dugtrio. You need to be having energy in hand. You need a draw engine here. So you've got to play a 1/1 line of Zebstrika. And then, like we mentioned, there's a single copy of Tapu Lele. Usually this is just for grabbing a turn 1 supporter, but it can be useful for other things there as well. In terms of supporter line here, we've got 4 Cynthia. That's not terribly surprising. It's the best draw supporter in the game. We've got a copy of Guzma, so we can drag stuff off the bench and KO it. And we got 3 copies of Lily. That's not terribly surprising, if I'm honest with you. Lily is a card which is seeing an awful lot of play in an awful lot of Japanese decks. And it draws until you've got 6 cards in hand, 8 on turn 1. It's a good turn 1 supporter, and it's good because you really don't want to be discarding too many energy. Really, 2 is the most you want to discard early game to recover with Mount Coronet. And you don't really want to be discarding Alolan Dugtrio, etc. So, drawing is good here. Yeah, you got Zebstrika, which discards, but Lily is, after Cynthia, really the supporter card of choice in Japan right now. But then we see 3 copies of Professor Elm's Lecture. Because you see, I told you Alolan Dugtrio has 60 HP. And that is absolutely huge here. Because actually, it means you can grab it with Professor Elm's Lecture. Even Rabombi is actually out of range here. You can grab all your basics, including Ditto Prism Star, because it's only got 40 HP. But you can actually grab your Alolan Dugtrio here, meaning it's really consistent. One of the downsides of using Professor Elm's Lecture after kind of turn 1 is that you might want to draw extra cards. Well, that's all right. You've got Zebstrika. So you know what? Use Zebstrika. There we go. Job's a good un. Yay, etc. Now, in terms of the rest here, we got 3 copies of Mount Coronet. Mount Coronet is huge because it lets you get that energy back. You need to get that energy back. It is very, very important because, well, you need to discard energy every turn from your hand. So you know what? You need to get the energy into your hand. It's just a shame it only gets 2 back. Honestly, we would much rather it was more. But you know what? It's a couple that will do. We see 1 copy of Energy Retrieval, because that gets cards out of your discard energy cards into your deck. The thing about Energy Retrieval here is we're only playing 1. It's a little bit awkward, because if you draw it before Zebstrika, you can't really use it, because you need to have this right before you attack. So what we have instead is Energy Recycler, which puts 5 energy back into your deck. And the theory here is really simple. I can get 2 energy every turn with Rabombi. I can get 2 energy every turn with Mount Coronet. Yes, it would be nice to also play an Energy Retrieval every turn, but that's not as relevant. I can play Energy Recycler, then use Zebstrika, then use Rabombi to search the energy out, so the sequencing is less likely to screw me over here. So you're guaranteeing 4 energy per turn. 120 for 0 energy is great. That's essentially what you're relying on. And yeah, there's gonna be plenty of games where you're actually going to be able to do more than that because you're going to draw stuff off Zeb Striker. Brilliant. But this is basically playing to have 4 energy and 120 damage every turn. Then we got free Nest Ball. It grabs your basics. Netball, I should say. No, it is Nest Ball. Lied to you. Sorry. 4 Ultra Ball because it grabs all of your Pokemon, whether they are basics or not. And you are playing a bunch of evolved Pokemon here, so that's important. And then just 12 Metal Energy. Oh, and free Rescue Stretcher. Rescue Stretcher's really important. Rescue Stretcher here, you're playing 3 of them because, like I've said, you are going to have your Alolan Dugtrio KO'd every turn. Maybe there'll be the odd turn where you don't, in which case, brilliant, enjoy it. But mostly you're going to get KO'd every turn. So you know what? Fight against it. Make sure it's not an issue by just having many Rescue Stretcher. And between Ditto as a 5th Alolan Diglett and free Rescue Stretcher, you should be able to get an Alolan Dugtrio every turn. The energy is taken care of with Mount Coronet and Rabombi. You just need your Alolan Dugtrio ready to go. It is a fragile deck. It is a deck where you're hitting 120 every turn and that might not be enough, but ladies and gentlemen, it is such a fun deck and such a unique deck. It really doesn't work like other decks in the format, and for that, I adore it. But you know the deal by now, ladies and gentlemen. I would very much like to know what you think about this. So do please let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but I would please ask you to remember the rule. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do please make sure you are checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays. There's a bunch of stuff on there, but right now we're doing a deep dive on the Transformers TCG, because it's awesome. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.